I didn't cry when they left my name off the invite. I didn't scream. I didn't send a passive-aggressive email or schedule a quick sync to clear the air. I just sat there, eyes fixed on the blinking calendar reminder that confirmed everything I already suspected. 9:30 a.m., client presentation, boardroom 3A. Attendees, Will, Priya, Sarah, Marcus, Eli. No Sloan. No me. No mention of the person who built the entire presentation, the strategy, the data model, the UX demo, the projections, the QA forecast, all of it. 49 hours of uncompensated overtime. 5 missed dinners. 1 migraine bad enough to land me in urgent care. But apparently, none of that counted. Because when I finally asked Marcus why I wasn't looped in for the big day, his response was as casual as the shrug that came with it. It's just optics, Sloan. You're not senior enough. The client wants faces they trust. Faces they trust. And I guess mine wasn't one of them. Let me rewind. I'm Sloan Mercer, Senior Data Strategist at Graybridge & Harlow, a mid-sized but fiercely competitive tech consulting firm. The kind of place that worships metrics, burns through talent, and hands out promotions the way rich dads hand out trust fund lectures, rarely, and never to the ones who actually earned it. 3 months ago, we landed a massive client, Stonemere Energy, a multi-billion-dollar energy company looking for a full digital overhaul. They'd allocated a $9.2 million budget to rebuild their customer platform and integrate predictive analytics for efficiency across 100-plus sites. It was the kind of project that could make someone's career. And it should have been mine. The night they kicked off planning, Will and Marcus led the call. I was one of 5 strategists on mute, taking notes and listening as they bounced around ideas they barely understood. When they hit a dead end, one too many acronyms and not enough architecture, I unmuted and offered a quick solution. We could use behavioral clustering instead of rule-based modeling. It'll adapt across regions and reduce false positives. Silence. Then Will said, "Oh, good idea. Let's flag that as a talking point." 2 days later, that same sentence showed up in a client email, from his address. Not mine. That's how it started. A slow siphon of credit. An erosion of visibility. The kind of ghosting you can't call out, because it never happens in writing. Only in glances. In tone. In who's accidentally left off an email. In who's asked to hold the room, versus who's asked to take notes. I kept building. I optimized the entire project proposal. I linked the energy usage data to a real-time dashboard I coded myself. I even designed the logic model for their predictive allocation, the model that would land the deal. But still, I heard the same chorus every week. We'll keep you looped in. Let's let Marcus drive the client narrative. You're essential, just not external yet. Translation? Do the work. Stay invisible. Let the seniors get the glory. And then? Then came Tuesday morning. 9:32 a.m. I sat at my desk, staring at the live client dashboard I'd built from scratch. One eye on Slack, one on the time. No update. No invite. No mention of me. Meanwhile, Marcus strutted past my desk with the printed deck I'd finalized at 11:47 p.m. the night before, color-coded, client-ready, and formatted to perfection. They didn't even change the cover slide. I had left my initials on the file name. SM_final_final_this_1.pptx. He didn't bother removing them. But what they didn't know was that I had already planned for this. Because a week earlier, I saw it coming. The signs. The silence. The sudden 1:1s I was left out of. I started documenting. Saving. Preparing. I had installed a version of the platform demo on a secure company cloud node, with a login only I could activate. I made sure the client-facing prototype had dependencies that required my credentials. Nothing malicious. Just, careful. A fail-safe. Because I wasn't stupid. And I wasn't about to watch my work turned into someone else's victory parade. 10:02 a.m. My phone buzzed. It was Priya. A Slack message, short and panicked. Hey, Sloan. Can you jump on this call ASAP? Then another. They asked a question no one can answer. About the logic framework. Help? I didn't respond right away. I let it sit. Watched the typing bubble flicker and disappear. And then, with all the calm I could gather, I replied, "Give me the Zoom link." The Zoom link landed in my inbox at 10:03 a.m. No subject. Just a silent SOS from the team that had decided I wasn't senior enough to be in the room. The irony was hard to miss. For a moment, I considered ignoring it. Letting them squirm. Letting Marcus and Will fumble through an answer they didn't understand, staring at slides they didn't create, panicking in front of a multi-billion-dollar client asking the one question only I could answer. But I didn't ignore it. Because this wasn't about ego. It was about my name, my work, my future, and making sure it never got buried under their credentials again. I clicked join. Muted. Camera off. I needed a minute. The screen loaded to show a full grid of faces. Executives from Stonemere Energy, a few unfamiliar consultants in suits, and my entire team, Marcus, Priya, Sarah, Eli, Will, seated like they were posing for a leadership brochure. Except none of them were smiling. Because the man in the top left square, David Kern, Senior VP of Energy Solutions at Stonemere, had a tight jaw, furrowed brow, and a very clear issue. "Sorry, I just want to clarify," he said, his voice cutting through the call like a scalpel. "The dynamic modeling you're proposing, who designed it? Because I've seen this exact architecture used in adaptive load balancing for telecom, and I'd love to speak directly to the architect about how it's been recontextualized for power grids." A silence fell over the group. Marcus smiled too quickly. "Right, great question. The team collaborated on it, of course, very cross-functional. But the lead was, well, actually that's." "Was it you?" Kern asked flatly. Marcus blinked. I supervised the direction." "But did you build it?" Kern pressed. Another pause. That's when Priya, God bless her, spoke up. "The person who built the model is actually here now. She just joined." All eyes turned to the screen. "Ms. Mercer," she added, voice tentative. "Are you available to walk Mr. Kern through the architecture?" And just like that, I unmuted. "Hi everyone," I said smoothly, switching on my camera. "I'm Sloan Mercer, lead data strategist on the Stonemere project. Happy to clarify the adaptive model." I watched Kern's face light up, not with amusement or skepticism, but with interest. A kind of curiosity that says, here's the person I've been waiting for. I continued, voice calm, deliberate. "You're correct, the foundation mirrors a telecom-based structure. We repurposed the logic tree, layered in behavior-weighted clusters, and applied a constraint-based override to adapt to variable peak loads in geographically scattered grids." He leaned in slightly. "So the failover logic? That's integrated with demand prediction." I smiled. "Precisely. It simulates distribution reallocation based on machine learning pattern detection, using hourly performance deltas." Another executive nodded slowly. "And you coded this?" "From scratch." Kern gave a single, satisfied nod. "Impressive. That's exactly the sort of thinking we're looking for." I didn't have to look at Marcus's face to know it was red. The presentation resumed, with me now doing most of the talking. Every time a technical question came up, it was directed to me. Every performance query, dashboard request, or integration concern was answered without hesitation. I saw the shift happen in real time. Marcus began fading into the background. "We'll try to interrupt once." Kern cut him off. "Let's stick with Ms. Mercer on this section." And when the call wrapped, Kern smiled into the camera and said the words that made everything worth it. "Frankly, Ms. Mercer, I'm surprised we hadn't heard from you sooner." I matched his tone. "So am I." The moment the call ended, I logged out. No goodbyes. No post-meeting chatter. I had made my point. But less than a minute later, my Slack lit up. "Marcus, at 10:49 a.m. Hey, can we chat for a sec?" Priya, 10:50 a.m. That was amazing. I'm so sorry they didn't include you originally. Will, 10:52 a.m. Can we debrief? Maybe align on next steps? I ignored them all. I took the rest of the day offline. Not to celebrate, but to breathe. Because this wasn't over. They didn't just forget to include me, they deliberately excluded me. Took my work, packaged it, and tried to pass it off without me. They weren't just colleagues. They were thieves in suits. And I wasn't done holding them accountable. That night, I drafted a report. Not an angry email. Not a rant. A report. One that outlined my contributions to the Stonemere proposal in exhaustive detail, time-stamped documents, revision history, Slack threads, and screenshots of dashboards with my user tag logged into the backend. I included a short memo at the top. Asterisk to whom it may concern. I'm submitting this documentation to ensure internal records accurately reflect my contributions to the Stonemere project. Please let me know if there's a more appropriate channel for this level of reporting. Asterisk. Sloan Mercer asterisk. It was the kind of message that doesn't yell. It just proves. The next morning, I sent it to HR. CC'd, legal, my direct manager, and the VP of strategy. No one responded for 5 hours. Then came the call. "Hi Sloan," said Caroline from HR, voice brittle with formality. "We've reviewed your report. Very thorough. Very eye-opening." "I thought clarity was important," I replied. "Indeed. We'd like to schedule a meeting with you, your manager, and senior leadership to discuss proper attribution and organizational dynamics. I'm available tomorrow morning." She cleared her throat. "Actually, they'd like to meet today. In 30 minutes. When I entered the video call, Marcus was already on screen. He looked like a man mid-spin. Sweatless but clearly scrambling. The way people look when they know they've overplayed their hand. "Thanks for joining, Sloan," said Derek Lewis, VP of Strategy. "We've had a chance to review your documentation. First, I want to apologize on behalf of the firm. It's clear you were not only instrumental in building the proposal, but also directly responsible for securing client trust during yesterday's presentation." I nodded, saying nothing. Marcus shifted. "I didn't mean to downplay Sloane's role." Derek cut him off. "You did more than downplay it. You removed her entirely." Silence. "They offered me a promotion. Effective immediately, Associate Director, Data Strategy. A 32% salary bump. Equity bonus. Official project lead designation on Stonemere. It wasn't charity. It was damage control. And I let them squirm a little before accepting. I walked into work the next day with a new badge, a new title, and a glass wall office 2 doors down from Derek's. Marcus didn't look at me in the hallway. Will gave me a weak smile I didn't return. Priya brought me a coffee and whispered, "You earned this." And I did. Every late night. Every stolen slide. Every line of code. I had earned it. And I wasn't done yet. They called it a promotion. But what it really was an apology wrapped in a title. Associate Director, Data Strategy. The kind of role that would normally require 10 years, 2 leadership offsites, and a dozen rounds of mentorship coffees. I earned it in a single boardroom crash, on the back of their negligence. But with the new title came more than a raise. It came with visibility. And visibility, in a place like Greybridge and Harlow, is a double-edged sword. The day after the announcement, I moved into my new office. It was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that says people are talking about you, but not to you. Priya was the only one who acknowledged the elephant in the room. She showed up with 2 lattes and sat across from me on the small meeting couch. They're shaken. Especially Marcus. I raised an eyebrow. He should be. "He's not sorry," she said. "He's scared." We barely made eye contact in the hallway. Sarah, who once forwarded my slide decks like she authored them, suddenly became a phantom in meetings. And Marcus? He started keeping receipts. The petty kind, forwarding old threads with FYI subject lines, copying supervisors unnecessarily, tossing around the phrase cross-functional accountability like it was a weapon instead of a mouthful. Classic retaliation. And I could have ignored it. But I didn't. 2 weeks after the promotion, I was invited to a senior strategy sync, my first as associate director. The room was filled with people who hadn't noticed me before. Now, they nodded when I entered. A few even smiled. I sat beside Derek, who led the meeting. "Let's review our internal accounts before we pivot to external pipelines," he said. "Sloan, I'd love your insight on the Stonemere roadmap." I had come prepared. I shared a 3-phase implementation breakdown, highlighted potential risks, and even proposed a new revenue stream through predictive maintenance modules. The room was silent when I finished. Then finally someone said, "This is excellent." But not everyone was pleased. Marcus leaned back in his chair, arms folded. "It's ambitious. But are we confident we can execute? This team's stretched. Just want to be realistic." Translation: I'm still mad you made me look small. Derek glanced at me. I smiled. Execution is a matter of leadership alignment. With clear ownership, this is more than realistic, it's scalable. No one pushed back. Later that afternoon, I got the calendar invite. Leadership Transition Planning, 1:1. From Derek. I stepped into his office at 4 o'clock sharp. He gestured for me to sit. "How are you adjusting?" "Fast," I said. "But steady." He leaned forward. "You've proven yourself. And not just on Stonemere. Your documentation, the way you handled that meeting, impressive." I stayed quiet. "I want you to lead the next pitch," he said. "End to end. You'll assemble the team. No filters this time." That was the moment it clicked. This wasn't just a promotion. This was a power transfer. Back at my desk, I opened a blank document. Named it Reorg_draft_S, Mercer. Because if they were giving me leadership, I was going to lead. And that started by re-evaluating who deserved to be on my team, and who had already proven they couldn't be trusted. Leadership, I learned quickly, doesn't begin with applause. It begins with decisions. Hard ones. Quiet ones. The kind that make people shift uncomfortably in their seats and glance down at their shoes during meetings. I wasn't looking for revenge, I was looking for efficiency. And efficiency meant reshaping the very team that had once decided I didn't belong. Derek gave me full discretion to build the next proposal team. I didn't hesitate. First off the list? Marcus. I didn't fire him. I didn't even confront him. I simply didn't include him. The project was for a sustainability AI rollout, one of the biggest clients in our Q3 pipeline. The kind of pitch that guaranteed C-suite attention. I drafted my team with surgical precision. Priya, for her diplomacy and insight. Omar, the new hire who had quietly rewritten our data ingestion process in 2 days. Ava, from finance, who was as sharp with analytics as she was with budgets. And me, the strategist turned director who was done waiting for permission. When the calendar invite dropped, the subject line was simple. Green Power AI Pitch, Core Team Sync. Marcus wasn't on it. He didn't take it well. 2 hours later, he showed up at my office. No knock. Just a passive-aggressive lean against the doorway. "Hey. Saw the invite for Green Power. Thought I'd be looped in." I looked up, calm. "You've got your hands full with retention metrics and post-Stonemere follow-through. This one needs a fresh approach." He blinked. "That's not really your call." I smiled. "Actually, it is." A pause. Then he said quieter, "You're making a mistake." I tilted my head. "Maybe. But if I am, I'll own it. Just like I owned Stonemere." He left without another word. By week's end, whispers were flying. That I was icing people out. That I was playing favorites. That I lacked experience. All from the same people who, not long ago, decided I wasn't senior enough to represent my own work. I didn't waste time defending myself. I just focused on the pitch. The Green Power proposal took shape faster than expected. We integrated Omar's optimized ingestion framework, mapped Ava's financial forecast to show ROI within 10 months, and layered in a real-time emissions dashboard that practically sold itself. Every detail was watertight. And every team member knew why they were there. Priya pulled me aside after one of our syncs. "You're doing what no one else has ever done here." "What's that?" "Building a team based on merit. Not tenure. Not loud voices. Just skill." I didn't say anything. But her words stuck with me. A week before the client pitch, Derek stopped me in the hallway. "Hearing great things about the deck. Let me know if you need backup." I nodded. "I think we've got it." He grinned. "That's what I like to hear." As he walked away, I realized something. I wasn't just leading this project. I was changing the rules. One decision at a time. We walked into the boardroom like we belonged there. Because this time, we did. Priya adjusted her collar. Omar checked his notes, though he didn't need to. Ava, always poised, pulled up the financials on her tablet without breaking a sweat. I sat at the head of the table. No Marcus. No Will. No one questioning my seat. The Green Power execs were already waiting. 5 of them, 3 men, 2 women, all dressed in subtle power. Conservative suits. Expressions unreadable. They weren't here to be impressed by fluff. They wanted results. And we had them. I started the presentation. No preamble. No, I'll keep this short. Just straight into the heart of it. Our AI model doesn't just reduce emissions. It predicts them. It takes 10 years of operational noise and turns it into real-time clarity. Ava followed seamlessly. By quarter 3, you'd see a 17% cost reduction. That's conservative. We mapped it against your last 5 fiscal years. Then Omar demoed the tech. He clicked once. Twice. A dashboard came alive, color-coded, intuitive, frighteningly precise. One of the Green Power executives leaned in, eyes narrowing. Not in doubt. In focus. That's when I knew we had them. The room stayed silent as we wrapped. Then the lead exec, a silver-haired man named Elliot, finally said, "Who architected this framework?" Omar gestured to me. All of it originated with Sloan's model. They looked at me, and I met them with calm confidence. I built it to work, not to impress. But if it does both, we're on the right track. A moment passed. Then Elliot said, "When can you start?" That one sentence changed everything. By the next morning, we had signed a conditional contract pending final scope alignment. Derek personally congratulated me in front of the entire executive team. "Sloan led this one from end to end," he said. "And if this is what her team looks like, I suggest we take notes." There was polite applause. But what I remember most was the silence from the corner, where Marcus stood, arms crossed, smile tight, eyes unreadable. Later that afternoon, I passed him in the hallway. We didn't stop. But he said just loud enough for me to hear, "Enjoy it while it lasts." I stopped walking. Turned. "I will. And when it does last, I'll remember this moment." He didn't respond. He just kept walking. Because he knew. The room had changed. And I wasn't done building. 2 weeks after the Green Power pitch, I found myself alone in the boardroom where it all began. Same glass walls. Same chairs. Same hum of HVAC vents that used to keep me company during late-night deck edits. Only now, I wasn't waiting to be noticed. I was being requested. I had just stepped off a strategy call when Derek walked in and placed a thick folder on the table. "Full scope approved," he said. "You'll be heading this one." "Fully." He nodded. "They want you on every milestone review. You've become part of their internal language." "Let's Sloan it," they said in a meeting yesterday. I almost laughed. "That's terrifying," I said. "Terrifying for the people who underestimated you," he replied. But it wasn't just about me anymore. It was about setting a new standard. The kind that lives longer than applause. The kind that reshapes a system from the inside out. I started meeting with junior analysts twice a week, reviewing their proposals, flagging opportunities, telling them what I wish someone had told me when I was not senior enough. I changed hiring filters to prioritize adaptability over background pedigree. And I started recommending talent no one else was noticing. Like Omar. Like Ava. And watching them shine was more satisfying than any corner office. Then came the real test. We had our quarterly town hall, a company-wide broadcast where executives recapped wins, growth, and future plans. This time, Derek invited me to co-present. Not as a diversity win. Not as a reparation. But as a leader. As I stood on that stage with the logo glowing behind me, I took a breath and looked out at the sea of faces, some curious, some proud, some still skeptical. And I said, what happened with Stonemere wasn't just a turning point for me. It was a wake-up call for all of us. We don't rise by waiting to be seen, we rise by doing the work, speaking up, and refusing to stay sidelined. The room was quiet. Then came the applause. Afterward, Marcus approached me. He looked smaller. Like someone who had spent the last few weeks realizing the power he once abused had finally left his grasp. "Congratulations," he said, forcing a smile. "Thanks." A pause. "You've really changed things." I looked at him, direct, steady. "No. I just stopped asking for permission." Then I turned and walked away. Weeks passed. Then months. And every time a project kicked off, I noticed something new. My name wasn't just on the invite. It was the first on the list. Because once you answer the one question no one else can, they never forget it.